Max Sterling, welcome to Larpgasm. So recently I was at a gun show and I was doing some shopping for some surplus stuff, and I came across an older guy selling a lot of like really old military stuff. Some of it's a reproduction. He told me some of it was used for reenactment and stuff, but some of it was also legit. Now, as far as for LARP purposes, I don't really care if it's reproduction. I don't really care if it's legit. It just needs to look the part. So this particular bag, I mean, this thing is toast. I actually talked the guy into throwing it in for free because I bought some other duffel bags and random things, which you may see in some of these videos. But this particular bag, you know, struck my interest because, for one thing, it is completely thrashed, okay? The parts that actually hold it onto things are still pretty structurally stable. So it's just the other parts that are going to need reinforced, like this flap. Now, this flap I could rip completely off and just have this bag be an open sort of like messenger bag, but I really want that flap on there because I got these awesome buttons on here, if you can see them. And I really want them to serve a purpose. So we're going to go ahead and fix this. Now, if you look on here, there's already places where people have tried to sew it in the past, and they've done a very excellent post-apocalyptic job of doing so. Probably with, you know, like a military, you know, field kit, like a sewing kit. So I'm going to go ahead and see about using the patches I have to try to rebuild some of this. I also have some fabric that I may use to try to rebuild some of this as well. But the rest of it, I'm just going to hand stitch together with some heavy duty thread. If you can come across something like this, this is the best way to find stuff. It's already thrashed. You don't have to go through all the extra process of wearing it down, aging it, and that type of stuff. Something like this is probably maybe like World War I, World War II era style. So if you can come across relics like that that are already in really rough condition, that's going to be your best bet. Check gun shows. Even if you're not a gun person, go to the show. They have all kinds of stuff there, surplus-wise. There's all kinds of gun stuff there. If you're doing a post-apocalyptic game, then a gun show could be a great place for you. If you can go to a larger scale gun show and it's not very much to get in, I would suggest checking it out. You know, if you are into guns, well, you know, you can check out the guns and stuff too, but there's always a few people there selling gear, selling maybe survival stuff, and selling old surplus and antique stuff. And if you get the right person and you can talk them into it, you can get good prices on the stuff as well. So this, like I said, was free. I'm going to go ahead and see about bringing it from the destroyed end of things back into the distressed end so that I can carry this on my belt and use it as just an awesome bag, because this can just go right on a belt or on the bottom of a pack, or, you know, whatever you're trying to do with it. So let's go ahead and get started. So there's actually a piece of fabric missing here. This isn't something that's just separated. There's actually fabric. It's all ripped off. So this will actually require a patch or a piece of fabric. But other than that, we got it sewed back together. For better or worse, this thing is so old it's actually kind of disintegrating as I sew. But it is back together. This is definitely going to require some patching for some reinforcement. However, I think if this has taught me anything, it's that this particular piece is probably not going to make it for LARP. This would be cool for cosplay, this would be cool for taking pictures, but this fabric is so old and so just broken in that, like, I could probably take my fingernail and just rip through it right now because it's so old and so fragile. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna patch it up, you know, make it look good, but this will be more like just a showpiece, and realistically I'll probably just sell it on eBay after I take some pictures maybe with it later on. But it's too bad. It was a cool piece, but I bought some other ones. This was just one out of the lot that I bought. So anyways, stitching, you know, just do what you got to do to get it back together. You don't have to know what you're doing to stitch this stuff. Over, under, box stitch, whatever you got to do to make it come out. And I like to leave these sort of frillies on the outside, but you can cut those off, you can melt them off with a lighter, whatever you're trying to do. If you have actual patches, like for on a jacket or something, you can use those to fill in these parts where there's fabric missing, or you just get a piece of fabric, actually put it in there, and then just sew the piece of fabric in. Yes, you could use a machine if you wanted to. It's not going to give you that rough hand sewn look, but if you don't want to spend as much time as I just did sewing this, a machine would be the way to go. But for right now, it is what it is. It's still a pretty cool bag. Too bad it's not going to hold up. But you can check out some of that stitch work I have going on there. So, see why you hand stitch it. Pro tip. You may end up with a whole lot of these. Now you can either cut those off, or what I like to do is actually burn them off. Now you got to be careful that they don't, you know, run too deep back into the fabric, because you don't want to burn, you know, into the seams and stuff. But you can just burn off all these little extra pieces, and obviously I suggest doing this outside, but just burn off all these little strings, and it cleans them up real nice and neat. Just be careful you don't, you know, catch stuff on fire that you don't want to. If you don't trust yourself with flames, then use scissors. But if you do the flames, you know, it can leave some nice, you know, marks and a little bit of you know, discoloration on the item if you want to do that. As always, adventure on. Would you fuck me? I'd fuck me. I'd fuck me hard. I'd fuck me so hard. Oh, hey. I know sometimes these videos can get a little bit long and drawn out, but you know what? It's better to have too much information than not enough. Be sure to check out the next part of this video.